So that's a thing. That's another thing that I feel like has been lost. That adults don't really know how to play anymore. And it's funny, sometimes I have people come over to my studio and there's just like boxes of broken little bits and stuff. And they really do serve as sort of a Rorschach test in a way for people, because they just like start picking things out and putting shit together. And it says a lot about your thinking and your mentality and your inner state by like what you gravitate towards. I had, when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, when I was in kindergarten, this is something that stuck with me. Some pop psychologist came to class. They would let people do these things at the time. They had some experiment they wanted to do on little kids, and they would just like unleash them on the class and let them do it. And this woman came, and she had this sit down with the kid, and had this gigantic box of toys. And she would like pick out two things from this box. We go and pick out two things. I picked a knife and an airplane. And then she was like, okay, now tell me a story about these two things. And I was like, the knife cut off the wings of the plane. And that's exactly what I had been doing to myself at that point, and for very long after that. I've been cutting off my own wings. And that stuck with me. Like, I'm 6 years old, and like, you psyched me out into like confessing my darkest weakness. I didn't realize the wisdom of it at the time. I didn't know what it meant at the time, and I don't never know what happened to that study afterwards. But the fact that stuck with me makes me think like I could run those kind of experiments on grown-ups now. Right. And people can really use this stuff as therapy, as I have done in more recent years, because a lot of the stuff that I make is highly personal, and I confess a lot of my inner life through them. I mean, it doesn't sell great because you have to know me, in order to really get all of that. But I think there's a lot of usefulness and utility in these things for adults. And I think, like I said earlier in this conversation, it's a great tragedy that we've been taught that we need to sacrifice that stuff in order to be proper adults. So that's, I think, at the end of the day, the work is really very much about that, as much as satisfying my own ego, which is also what it was also about.
Yeah, for sure.